All right, we are live. We have just spent the last 5 or 6, 7 minutes just kind of going, Susan, can you hear me? And you're going, I don't know, can I hear you? We're having some
volume, can't hear you.
But now we're good, right?
We're good.
We got rid of these headphones. I wonder, now that I think about it, I just bought a new on Amazon Logitech headphones because I just electrical taped this part, but it was working earlier, so we don't know, but we've got it working. How are you this fine Monday, Susan?
I am great.
Excellent.
Good day. Excellent.
Yeah. So I have Susan Raisanen. Did I nail the pronunciation of the last
Perfect. Name? Yes, that was perfect.
Good.
Way to go.
With TraVek. I have seen Vaughn in person, one of the owners or the owner of TraVek.
One of the owners, yes.
We saw each other at the International Builder Show back at the start of the year, and you and him, and I think maybe somebody else or another couple people from TraVek are active on the Remodelers community board. And I thought, you know what? Susan knows her marketing, and TraVek is a company that's doing a lot of different things. What a wonderful guest to have on the Remodelers Show. So here we are.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
You bet. So for those of you watching live, let's make sure that's working. Rhonda says good morning/afternoon. Good morning/afternoon, Rhonda. As you're listening live, we're going to just get into some marketing topics and kind of bounce back and forth. But if anybody has any comments or any questions for, I would say arguably the two greatest marketing minds in all of remodeling.
Way to go.
Why are you laughing?
Hey, I agree 100%.
All right, good. So tell me, let's just get right into it. When you think of what TraVek is doing from a marketing standpoint, why don't you tell people about the business, kind of the size and the scope and what you guys focus on and where you're located. Let's start there.
Okay, so sure. We're in Scottsdale, Arizona. Our company was started in 2001. We have approximately 35 employees at this point. We have 8 designers, and then 6 of them are design sales. So we have 2 design assistants. We spend quite a bit of money on advertising. We advertise in just a wide variety of places, but we make sure that it works for us.
Sure.
What else do you want to know?
35 employees it's a sizable company.
Yeah.
You guys are primarily doing what type of remodeling work?
Residential remodeling. We do a lot of kitchens and baths, obviously. Now, in the last couple of years, we've been doing a lot of additions, and then also elderly living space, modifying homes to either add another master suite in the existing home or put on a casita or in addition, separate living quarters for parents.
Gotcha. And your role in the business is?
I'm the director of sales and marketing, so I work with both the sales team and the marketing.
Okay, excellent. Mm-hmm. So when you think of the things that you guys are doing on the advertising or marketing side that is working well, and when we say working well, we don't mean getting a lot of likes, but actually having some business results, like some tangible results. What are the things that you guys are doing that you might want to share with the masses of what's working?
Well, we have both paid and unpaid advertising, of course, and we work both of those, from both angles. With the paid advertising, our biggest ones and most expensive, I guess, but a really good return is radio advertising. So we advertise on a few different stations, and so that's the source of all of our new cold leads, I should say. Okay. We also do, you do your typical things like your networking and your the unpaid things, or the lower cost advertising, networking, finding gym memberships where it matters, and hanging out in places where there are people that you would like to meet, people that you can, whatever. A lot of the social media, of course. Nextdoor has been a great one.
You hit on 2 things I want to dig into deeper. One, the radio advertising. So that when you set that up, you're like, this is what we're spending the most money on, and also what you would say is producing the most amount of like non-referral warm leads. So
Right.
tell me about the radio strategy. It's not something that a lot of remodelers do.
Yeah, well, it was a little bit scary at first when we started, and we've been doing it for quite a few years. So what our plan is, okay, so when you have your advertising budget, it's okay if you spend some more initially. Hopefully you'll get some referrals and return or repeat business from those. So, but still you have to spend within your means. Okay, so when I first started radio advertising, I was told that I couldn't get the acquisition cost, or the cost of getting a customer, for under 20%. And I thought, ooh, that's way too high. I don't have 20% to spend on getting.
Of what?
Of a contract. Say you get a contract for $100,000, 20% of that is covering the marketing.
Okay.
I don't have that kind of a budget. I can't work with that. I want to be down, 4%, 2%. Okay. And so anyhow, that's what I was told. And I just thought, well, watch, And so we've been able to make it work. When you start radio advertising at first, we found with any station, you have to go in for the long haul to give the people a chance to get to know you. And we work with personalities that know us or that people know. We get to know them. One big thing for our radio shows is that we bring our personalities out to look at jobs that we've done, look at the stuff so they can actually talk about it. They talk with our customers. We want them to personalize it as much as possible.
Is this mostly like AM talk radio or FM?
There's talk. Well, we have AM and FM.
Okay.
And so we have a big personality on the FM, and he has not come out to any of our projects. He had a pretty big vetting. I can say Dave Ramsey is our spokesperson. Mm-hmm. And they had a good vetting process. They keep in touch. When he would come into town, of course, we would go for lunches with the radio station and, get to know him get to know us a little bit, or
gotcha.
Not like I know know him or anything, well or any at all, but it's just good, I think, to put a face to the name of the people that they're advertising. And so having that has helped. I have also used voices. I've used my own voice, depending on what it is that you're advertising. Sometimes, I hate to say it, but the lady's voice in the kitchen works better than a man's voice. And that's just a fact. It's just, what we found out from tracking. So you just have to be open to trying all kinds of things.
Gotcha.
But
there's something that I heard there of, if you are going to advertise, especially on the radio around personalities, to be proactive in reaching out to them and pushing them to get to know us, because so often those types of reads, right? It's not just that 30-second commercial that's a little bit more of a polished commercial. It's that personal read that they're doing. And when they've actually had experience and can talk from, I've seen their work. I've met some of their clients. I've talked to them. It's such a more powerful way of going about it. Probably
makes all the difference.
A little bit more costly to get those readouts, but the ROI on it is better as well.
They're always much better. Yeah. So, long story short, when I was told that you can't get it below 20%, we keep it right around 2, 3, 4% for radio advertising. But we're constantly working it. We're paying attention to it. We're looking at who's selling it. We're assigning leads based on performance.
Gotcha. So why don't we get into a topic that I know that you love and care about, of what you were just hinting at, of tracking leads, of being able to say we're spending X amount on radio advertising, but I'm seeing, depending on the time frame I'm looking at, a 2% return, 3% cost per acquisition. Tell me I'll throw a broad question out. How do you approach tracking your leads, tracking what's working? Give us some of your experience on that.
Sure. Well, you have to have your systems in place in order to track it. But we track, you track your typical things like your closing ratios and your closing ratios. But then we also track something that's even more important to us, is tracking our acquisition costs. What is it costing the company for each one of our sales reps to try to make a sale for every advertising source that we have, and as a whole, our sales team as a whole. So I want to look at my number first as a whole to make sure that I'm, within the budget that I've allowed. And then I look at each of my salespeople too, and I say that, oh, this guy is really good at selling to conservative talk radio. This guy can't sell conservative talk radio at all. Well, why not assign those leads to him?
Interesting.
So I'm tracking all of that. And so then I can, based on that, I can get the best money for my marketing because I'm sending people out on those leads that can sell them. And then also it's doing a favor to the sales reps too, because they're getting leads that they can sell. And
sure.
At first, when we started tracking it so diligently, there was a little bit of, not a little bit, there was a lot of, they didn't like it. They just started, thinking that you're just
butt out. Stop asking me so many questions.
Yeah. Get off my back and quit looking over my shoulders. It's not that. Once they understood that it's a way for them to see and focus their time where they're good. I can't stand to have the guys chasing around the valley, wasting time on leads that they're not going to sell.
Got it. So when you say cost per acquisition, we might have cost per lead we generate, and then cost per acquisition being we spent this amount on radio advertising for one sale. Am I following you correctly on that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That's absolutely correct. So, first of all, when you're spending, $200, $300, sometimes $400 to make the phone ring, you better have someone there answering it. Mm-hmm. And then once you start assigning those leads, I don't really care what the cost is per lead, as long as the acquisition cost makes sense. So if I can keep that marketing, the cost of getting that sale low enough, then it makes sense.
Yeah, and your goal for the cost per acquisition is what?
Right now, it would depend on the radio. I want to keep it under 10%, and I'm at 2, 3. Most of my salespeople are at 2, 3, and 4%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So $100,000 sale is costing us $3,000-$4,000.
Right. Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Yeah. So one of the things that all remodelers need to be thinking about here, or should be hearing, or maybe a takeaway from that part of the conversation, a couple things so far. One is to look at and maybe experiment and invest in some marketing that is outside what you've done before. Radio advertising is an example of something that you can have a pretty clean test and measurement. And when you said I really want to stick to it, make sure you give it a full try. How many months would that be?
I say plan at least 8 months.
Okay, 8 months.
Yeah.
So consider that. Think, the other thing is, if you're really busy right now, what a great time to consider some other marketing avenues. Marketing and testing things out and measuring things when you don't have to be producing leads is a really good time to measure it. When you're going, wow, or try it. Wow, I need leads right now, and you throw things out there and you see what works. That is not the ideal time to be testing and measuring our marketing.
Right.
And then the second thing that you mentioned that I think is a good takeaway is just flat out, are we tracking our lead and our sales information? Can we say I spent X amount on this source and here's how many leads it generated? And then I also paid attention to it, especially for people with multiple sales folks like you do. Here's what our cost per acquisition has been, based on this lead source and or these salespeople. What gets measured gets improved, and we need to be holding our marketing dollars accountable. Sometimes it's not, and Susan, this probably drives you a little bonkers too. Sometimes it's not a super clean tracking because they heard you on the radio. They also kind of went to the website. They heard about you from a friend. Frankly, some of that multifaceted marketing are a lot of times the best leads. But even though it's not perfectly clean, sometimes it's still worth tracking. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it will never be 100% accurate, in that sense. But you'll see the trends, and over history, you'll see the performance.
Sure. So let's hit on another topic. When we think of how do we determine our marketing budget, Rob had commented 2% advertising budget is good! So when you think of overall marketing budget compared to sales or however you want to tackle it, how do you look at that?
Well, every year when I'm planning my marketing budget, first of all, I'm going to look at what the company goals are. I'm going to, so if we're going to go for 10 million in sales, I'm going to look at my sales team and see, okay, well, this person closes this, this is their average sale, this is their closing ratio. Next year, we're going to bump it up a little bit for him, his goals, or him or her. We have some women also. And bump it up a little bit. Okay, so based on their averages, how many leads do they need? And so what is my average lead cost? Okay, so that's where I come up with my marketing number.
So overall, for as far as percentage of overall sales, what has it been historically the last several years?
As far as the marketing budget?
Yeah.
Between 3% and 4%.
Okay.
It's been 4% and it's landed just under.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's another takeaway, I think, for the remodelers listening to this is if I were to ask you, how much are you spending as a percentage of just your overall business budget on marketing and advertising? To look that up, to look at your P&L over this year or over last year. Susan, when I do that, would you say I typically see that 3 or 4% number, or do I see well below that?
You're going to see the 3 or 4. This year, you're going to see a little bit. Well, right now it's 2 point.
On yours, I will. But what do you think for your colleagues?
Oh, I don't know. I would say it's gonna say I think probably way lower because I'm guessing a lot of people don't advertise.
Yes, you guys are advertising at 3 to 4% is a good amount of money, is a lot of money for a remodeler that I just from what I see out there. Now you guys are ambitious. You guys have a big engine to feed. You guys have a lot of employees and a larger, you guys have your ambitions and what you guys are needing to produce is matched with a solid, hefty advertising marketing budget. What I see from some remodelers, I think maybe a little guidance or a little takeaway that people listening to this could have is I hear remodelers who say, I want to grow. I want to grow this thing. And then like very ambitious. And then you look at what they're investing in their marketing and advertising and it's minuscule. There's an adage that I invented called, you got to spend money to make money. I came up with
that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I heard it somewhere. I don't know. You got to spend money. What I see, especially if you're looking to grow, you've got to look at that marketing and advertising line item and continuing to increase it. If you're 20 plus years in business and you're looking to kind of keep things where they're at, there might not be a lot of advertising dollars you need to put. So there's some thought that needs to go into that. When you guys think of your marketing budget and going through the craziness that's been 2020, have you guys been lowering it, increasing it? What's been your strategy there?
We've kept on just as we had planned before. We have not lowered it. We've changed it. We've changed the message. Shoot, when the governor shut down the state after, the first time, whatever, beginning of March 13th or whatever, the phones were quiet for about a few days. Mm-hmm. And I was, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So fortunately, we also have a handyman department. And so we just changed the message, added handyman to some of the radio things. And our phones have not stopped. We've been busy.
Wow. So it changed instantly to more of the handyman work and then just also the other main work back as well.
Yes. So we added the handyman to it, and I should say our remodeling sales this has been just really a weird time because our remodeling sales have been really good. But I think people have been sitting at home, not sitting, they're working at home, but they're seeing their kitchens that are outdated and they've had time to get annoyed.
Gotcha.
At needing updates. Yeah.
I was gonna share my screen real quick here and kind of show something here. I was curious when I was clicking on the website. This looks like a print newsletter. Tell me about that or how you guys have done with that.
Yeah. So that is something that we send out to the immediate area, and we've been doing that for a few years, and we have great response on it. We send it to both our our existing customer list as well as prospects, people who haven't bought and we feel would be prospective customers for us.
Okay. So how many are you sending out typically?
About 700.
Okay.
And it's
Gotcha.
right in the area right around the office.
Okay. So does it have a better cost per acquisition than the radio side of things?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Much better. You know, another thing that we've been doing too are the direct mailers. Those have been working now. For a while it wasn't, but so, you know, and going back to this newsletter, I don't know how much of it keeps people informed, and it brings, I guess it works as far as the seminar. That's another thing I didn't mention. We have in-house seminars, which have been a really good feeder for our remodeling.
Mm-hmm.
And so this, I guess this has reminded people of the seminar, because we always talk about that coming up, or put a picture of a previous one that was there. And so it prompts people, you know, compels them to action to come in for the next one.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Let me pause there. So I've been asking questions on budget, this, that, the other. Let me not ask a question and just make a statement that says, what else is on your mind to tell the remodelers about? What else should they be thinking about when it comes to the marketing side of things?
You have to stay relevant. You have to stay in touch with your people to know what your people are wanting, know what the market is wanting. Mm-hmm. And then also, you have to be so flexible. You have to constantly be changing your message, but yet be consistent in mm-hmm. your marketing. Don't drop it off. So yeah, our newsletter tends to bring back past clients and referrals. Yeah,
Rhonda does.
I'd agree.
Print newsletter.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Are you getting butts in the seat for your in-person seminars?
We are. Yeah, and it's been. We didn't do it for 2 months during the COVID. We did it online, and that wasn't as nice. It was much better we fill the place. The last month we had, you know, just due to space and distancing, we had to limit the number, but we had a full, you know, what we could have. And so, I expect that the September one will be full too. Okay. And right now it's at half compared to what it is usually. And we've been doing them for about 2 years. And we were doing a little bit different than remodeling, not always remodeling. Sometimes it had something to do with human interest, health, or whatever. But the remodeling ones, people have really had a great interest. But one thing that's been nice about that is we partner with our vendors and suppliers to sponsor it. So then they come in too, and you know, they put it out to their people. So you do cross marketing too.
Excellent. Yeah. So that is another thing that now living through COVID right now, it's kind of cool off a little bit. But as we look just, you know, further down the road, especially for those of you who have showrooms, you hit on a couple key things there. Well, one that you didn't hit on directly, which was, you know, having that really solid list of previous clients and prospects is really key to getting butts in the seat. But that thing that you mentioned of getting your trade partners involved, getting your vendors and suppliers involved so that they can promote it and also help cover some costs on it is something that is a very big key to that. Earlier, you were also talking about what's working. One thing that you mentioned that I just wanted to hear your 2 cents on is Nextdoor. So what are you guys seeing results wise with that?
Okay, so I'm active on our Nextdoor app, and so people are always asking for handyman or remodels. It's surprising how many people are asking, but I didn't realize that. I had started on Nextdoor, I don't know, a couple of years ago, but I didn't really do anything on it. And then, I don't know, one day, a few months ago, see what's going on Nextdoor, and I started putting in search terms for remodeling to see who all was talking about remodeling and handyman, and there's a lot of people asking. And so, you know, even if they're not looking for a remodeler or if they're looking for something else, I found it's good to just go on there and comment if they're looking for someone to do something that you don't do. Sure. You know, we meet so many people, so share those people with the neighborhood, you know. So,
actually think about what you can contribute and give, not just what you can take. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Yep.
Excellent. And then you mentioned networking groups. What's one example of a networking group that you guys have gotten involved in, invested in, that's been beneficial?
One that has been, well, we've done so many different ones over the years, but now this last few years, we really focused on the Scottsdale Chamber, just being involved with them, showing up at the events. We were a member since 2008, but weren't really active. You know, makes a difference if you're actually there and they can get to know you. Makes all the difference.
Let me hammer home one of those points again. Wait a minute. You can't just offer a networking group and then expect relationships and know, like, and trust. You have to participate in it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I know why. I don't know why it doesn't work that way. You know, if you just pay your dues. So one takeaway there for me, or something, just a reminder for the remodelers listening, is, you know, in your guys' case with, you know, a big team, and you even have as director of marketing and sales, I saw on the website, like an assistant, you know, to help you with marketing. You know, the owners of your business are involved. There's a lot of different things that you guys can do and stay ahead of. For a lot of remodelers, just a reminder, there's a lot of different ways to market your business. And I think sometimes we try to do too many things at once. And we end up saying, yes, let's do these 5 things. And we get them 20% of the way there, 25% of the way there, instead of fully implemented. Like you just mentioned, yeah, let's sign up for that networking group. But then because you're scattered and doing all these other things, you don't fully take advantage of what you signed up for. Or you sign up for video advertising, but you're doing 5 other things. So you're not taking the time to have those lunches, to build know, like, and trust with the personalities, to change and brainstorm and think about the updated ads. So often with marketing, and I would say overall business improvement, and dare I say life, fewer things and focusing on fewer things and getting them done and implemented and true progress made is way better than scattered and a bunch of Yeah, I agree. You know, and Kyle, another thing I was thinking of too is, you know, hanging out where these people are where your people are, where your ideal client is, and the you know, like-minded people hang out together, and I want to hang out with those people. Where are they? And so I found a gym here that, you know, I drove around that parking lot first. I don't want to go to a parking lot where there's just ratty cars and stuff like that. So I went many times to check out the parking lot. And then pretty soon I went inside and checked that out a few times, went and sat in the lobby there, and they have a cafe there. I went there and sat in the cafe just to chat with people. And I just thought, you know, this is a place that I want to be. So just building those kinds of relationships too. Gym, well, zillions of people go to the gym, not right now, but you know, get to know those people.
Making sure the one that you're looking at is in alignment with kind of who your ideal client is.
Yeah. So, and they all have, you know, businesses, lots of realtors there, a lot of really great connections to have there. And you know, even if they're not.
You went to the parking lot, you went to the cafe. Did you pump some iron as well, Susan?
Not until I signed up.
Okay, all right. Good. So we've covered a lot of different topics. Hopefully some good takeaways for folks related to some marketing related items. Why don't you tell people, you've got a little bit of a book that they could have, you know, and have access to. And also you have this Profit Finder Pro. Why don't you put together a little 1 minute commercial on those 2 things, or a little 1 minute ask on those 2 things, offer.
Sure. Okay, so Profit Finder Pro software is a software that we had developed because we were spending a lot of money on marketing, and we didn't know how effective it was. We didn't, you know, we needed to know who was selling what and at what cost to us. And so we created this system to track all of our leads.
Susan, I'm working from home because my wife is working. The dog's going nuts. And I'm just going to bring the dog back so she's
okay. All right, sounds good. So anyhow, we created this system, you know, so that you can maximize your profits, like you see there on the screen. And by doing that, you're able to adjust your lead assignment and your marketing buys, your marketing purchases, and so on. But anyhow, I wrote a book. It's called Track It to Crack It. And this is really helpful, whether you use something like Profit Finder or not, but it gives you good thoughts or good ideas as to what you can, or how the numbers that you should follow and how to follow them. So, and this is my offer to you. If you want this, just email me. Send me an email and I'll send it to you. It's on Amazon too, but I'm happy to send it to you.
Awesome. Track it to crack it.
Track it to crack it.
I like it.
How do you like that?
I love it. I love it. What's your email address?
Susan@profitfinderpro.com.
Okay. Can you hear other noise right now, Susan?
I hear the dog.
No, that noise is the washing machine out of alignment and making a bunch of noise.
It sounded like something's squeaking.
Yes, it's the washing machine.
You know, if you weren't at home, you wouldn't hear those noises.
Susan, share with the people your takeaway from today, and then I'll come back and share my takeaway. Okay,
my takeaway? We're all just here to make a living and to help people by doing. I mean, I should say, yeah, to live a nice life. And so you get that by helping other people get what they want. And this is fun. I love this marketing. I love helping other people also get the best that they can out of their marketing. If there are ideas that we can share with our company, we're happy to.
Awesome. Rhonda said she would love a copy. So say your email address again. And Bailey, if you could type it in.
Sure. Susan@profitfinderpro.com.
Okay, perfect. Bailey said it sounds like a busy at the house. It is. We're all getting through day by day, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
Right when I loaded the washing machine, the only time it does that is when you put a bunch of towels in, and sometimes it does it, and I'm like, oh, yeah. It won't happen today.
Yeah.
So,
of course.
And if I were to kind of wrap up with my takeaway from today, two things. One, track your leads. Track your leads.
Exactly.
Every lead that comes in, how did you hear about us? Make sure you have a system to track it. What gets measured gets improved. And the second thing is, step back and think, is there something I've heard here, or is there something I've been thinking about trying, and invest in trying some different marketing and advertising, especially if it's a time frame right now where you don't need results from it. And also don't freak out and say, well, I've already got too many leads. I don't want to advertise because then I have more. Well, then you just need to work on how you qualify your leads and how you talk through that. And by golly, you might end up with higher quality leads, and you might have to tweak and improve your sales process to weed some out. But I think it's that as business owners, we need to be always trying some new things to keep things fresh and to test and measure and improve, so that when you get results from it, it's ready to go. So
exactly.
Excellent. Susan, it's been a pleasure. I wouldn't say it was the smoothest Remodelers show ever with the audio and other stuff, but we covered some ground, and I appreciate you sharing your expertise.
Thanks a lot, Kyle. It's my pleasure.
All right. Take care.
Have a great day.